Damn phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
What do YouTube? B Kelly back again with another banger video. In today's video, y'all, I'm going to be talking about 5 forgotten college football stars from recent college football history that you might have just forgotten about. Now, before I move on with the video, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, as we are on the road to 10K. Now, let's get into it. The first player that I'm going to be talking about today is Kansas State quarterback Colin Klein. Now, Colin Klein is a forgotten quarterback that needs some more recognition, as in my opinion, he is the best Kansas State quarterback ever, and he had a lot of success in the Wildcats program. He was there for a total of 5 seasons, including a redshirt season as a true freshman in 2008. He did not become a full-time starting quarterback for K-State until the 2011 college football season as a junior, in which in 13 games played for K-State, he threw for a total of 1,918 yards, completing 57% of his passes, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. On the ground, he was very remarkable, as he rushed for a total of 1,141 yards and had 27 total touchdowns. He even led the K-State Wildcats to a New Year's Six Bowl appearance where they lost the Cotton Bowl. In his last season as a Wildcat in 2012, Colin Klein had a very special season, as in 13 games played, he completed 65% of his passes, threw for 2,641 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, but on the ground he rushed for 920 yards and 23 total touchdowns on the ground. In this season as well, he finished 3rd in Heisman voting. He was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, and he even won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. Despite having a good career at Kansas State as a quarterback, Colin Klein was not believed to be an NFL-level quarterback and was even asked to try out as a tight end during the NFL Scouting Combine, but he said he wanted to be a quarterback. He would go undrafted in the 2013 NFL Draft, and the farthest he made it in his NFL career was rookie minicamp with the Houston Texans, and after that, he never got a contract offer from the NFL again. He would sign a 2-year deal with the Montreal Alouettes of the Canadian Football League, but he was released during that same season. At number 2, we have Toby Gerhart, running back from Stanford. Now, Toby Gerhart at Stanford was an amazing running back, and he really got his start in 2008 as a junior in the 2008 college football season. In 12 games played with Stanford, he rushed for 1,136 yards, averaging 5.4 yards per carry, and 15 total touchdowns on the ground. His best season, however, would be his very last season at Stanford, where he solidified himself as the best running back in all of college football in the 2009 college football season. In 13 games played, he rushed for 1,871 yards, averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and an insane 28 touchdowns on the ground. This guy won a lot of awards in this season as well. In 2009, he was the Doak Walker Award winner, Archie Griffin Award winner, Jim Brown Award winner, Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year, unanimous All-American, and first team All-Pac-10. In the 2010 NFL Draft, he was taken by the Minnesota Vikings in the 2nd round, 51st overall pick. Toby Gerhart would spend a total of 6 seasons in the NFL, 4 seasons with Minnesota, and 2 with Jacksonville. Primarily in his career, he was mainly a backup running back, and the most games he ever started in a season was 2014 with Jacksonville, where he started 7 of the 14 games he played in. In his career, he rushed for 1,675 yards with 7 rushing touchdowns, averaging 4.2 yards per carry, and his biggest season came in his 2nd year in the league in the 2011 NFL season, where he played in 16 games, starting in 5 of them for Minnesota, rushing for 531 yards while averaging 5 yards per carry and 1 total touchdown on the ground. His final season in the NFL came in 2015 with Jacksonville, where he ended the year on injury reserve, only playing in 7 games and rushing for 44 yards, and he had 0 touchdowns on this season, and he was degressing in his game as a whole pretty much this entire year, and it just was not looking good for him for the future. And after that season, he was released, and he has not played in the NFL since the 2015 season. Coming in at number 3, we have the guy that everybody knows on the cover of NCAA 14, Donnel Robinson. Now, Donnel Robinson was the quarterback at Michigan, and the guy was a baller for the most part of his career, especially on the ground. In his career at Michigan, he completed 57% of his passes, threw for 6,250 yards, 49 touchdowns through the air, and 39 total interceptions as well. On the ground in his career, he rushed for 4,495 yards, averaging a very impressive 6 yards per carry and 42 total touchdowns on the ground in his career. His best season as a college player was in 2010 as a sophomore, where in 13 games played, he completed 63% of his passes, threw for 2,570 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. On the ground in that season, he rushed for 1,702 yards, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry, and 14 total touchdowns on the ground. Not only that, but in that season as well, he was a first-team All-American, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, and a first-team All-Big Ten member. His next 2 seasons at Michigan for 2011 and 2012 would still be decent, but they were nothing like his 2010 season. In 2011, he was a decent passer, even though his numbers were taking a hit and going down from the season prior, but he was still good on the ground for those 2 seasons. 2012, I will say, he wasn't very good in the air, and he had to rely on a lot of his legs on the ground. Going into the 2013 NFL Draft, Donnel Robinson was open to playing any position he could to be drafted, since he knew not many teams were really wanting him to be a quarterback for their team, since he was starting to struggle a lot in the pass game, since he was a lot better at running than he was at passing his entire career at Michigan. He would originally be listed as a wide receiver going into that draft, and that's what people thought he was going to be, as he was taken in the 5th round by Jacksonville. But once he got to Jacksonville, he would be a wildcat set guy, but he would primarily be a running back. He would spend a total of 4 seasons in the NFL, where he was primarily a backup running back for Jacksonville. In his career, he rushed for 1,058 yards, had 5 touchdowns on the ground, and averaged 4 yards per carry. In the air, he had 47 receptions for 310 yards, and a catch percentage of 70%. He was primarily a backup running back for Jacksonville in those 4 seasons. After 2016, he would try out for a couple of NFL teams, but ultimately would not make any of the teams that he tried out for at all, and wouldn't even make it to the preseason rosters that any of those teams actually had. And the big reason of this was primarily he wasn't as good as he used to be due to some lingering injuries that he had sustained during his playing career. He last played in the short-lived AAF with the Atlanta Legends. The 4th guy I am going to be talking about in today's video is quarterback from Nebraska, Taylor Martinez. Now, Taylor Martinez had a pretty good career at Nebraska as a quarterback that was a QB1 guy since day one. In his career, he completed 60% of his passes, threw for 7,258 yards, 56 touchdowns, and 29 interceptions, while rushing for 2,975 yards on the ground, averaging 5 yards per carry, and 31 total touchdowns on the ground as well. He was a starter pretty much since day one, as he was the Big 12 Freshman Player of the Year in 2010, and although he did have some rough patches in his passing, especially in his first 2 seasons, he looked very special in 2012 as a junior, where in 14 games played, he completed 62% of his passes, threw for 2,871 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while also rushing for 1,019 yards and 10 touchdowns. Many people were expecting him to have his best season yet as a senior in 2013, but unfortunately that would not be the case, as he would unfortunately only be able to play in 4 games and end his season after those 4 games with an injury. And with him ending a season early on injury, he would end up going undrafted in the 2014 NFL Draft, and shortly thereafter he was picked up as an undrafted free agent for the Eagles, but after failing his physical, he would end up getting released, and he has not been picked up since. The last guy I'm going to be talking about in today's video is the Division I FBS all-time leading rusher in Donnel Pumphrey, running back from San Diego State. Now, this guy in college at San Diego State was a complete animal. In his career, he rushed for 6,405 yards, averaging 6 yards per carry, and 62 total touchdowns on the ground. Not only that, the guy did do some receiving out of the backfield as well, as in his career, he had 99 receptions for 1,039 yards, averaging 10.5 yards per reception, and 5 total touchdowns through the air in his career. His notable accolades while he was at San Diego State: he was a first-team All-American in 2016, a two-time Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year in 2015 and 2016, first-team All-Mountain West Conference in 2015, and as I said earlier, he leads FBS all-time leading rushing record with 6,405 total yards on the ground. This guy was completely unstoppable against every team he went against when he had the ball in his hands. And after 2016, in the 2017 NFL Draft, he would be taken in the 4th round by the Philadelphia Eagles. His NFL career has not gone the way that many people thought it would, since this guy was so unstoppable in his college career at San Diego State. He was with the Eagles very short, and he never actually played a down with them in his rookie season, as he missed the entire year due to injury, but he still got a Super Bowl ring out of it. He was released going into the 2018 season by the Eagles, then got picked up by the Lions to be on their practice squad. Then he got released in that same season and was back with the Eagles on their practice squad until he was ultimately cut going into the 2019 season as final roster cuts by the Eagles. He last played for the DC Defenders in the XFL, and that was the last time he played. Well, guys, if you guys have made it this far in the video, remember to smash that like button, turn on them post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly out.